the Rad Conversations podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Rad Conversations. This week, this one's going to make you question what's real and what's possible. Have you ever had that gut feeling you couldn't explain, but it turned out to be right? Today, we are deep diving into intuition and psychic ability and the idea that we're all connected to something bigger. My guest is psychic medium Amanda Soto, and her website is amandasotomedium.com. And she shares how she's predicted major events and receives what she calls downloads and why she believes every single one of us has this ability, but we've just forgotten how to use it. We also talk about collective consciousness and trusting your instincts. All that and more coming up on this episode of Rad Conversations. And remember, if you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and share. All right, let's dive in. So, Amanda, can you use your psychic abilities at a grocery store and just focus in on random people and say, hey, I want to know what's going on in that person's life, or hey, I want to know what's going on in that person's life?
I could. It's not totally ethical, so I don't. And I just shut it down because, again, I think it would be too much for me. I shut it totally down. And like sometimes people will be like, oh, I'm going to meet this guy on a date. Can you tune into him? And I can do that, you know, if I open up. I did. So I did predict the Super Bowl twice.
Nice.
Last year, I didn't even know who was playing at the Super Bowl. And my husband goes to Vegas with his friends for the Super Bowl weekend. And he called me and I go, oh, who's going to play? And he goes, the Eagles. And I don't remember who else. And I go, and then this eagle just flashed in my mind. And I go, oh, I think the Eagles are going to win. And when I tuned into it, I got another hit. And it was like, it was going to be by a lot, like over 20 points. But I didn't say that because he had just told me they're not favored to win or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but so I just said, well, put about $50 on the Eagles for me. And of course they won. And then of course they won by over 20 points, right? Or something like that. Like they weren't.
I don't remember, but I'm with you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Like they weren't favored to win, I don't think. And then this time I was like, ooh, let me just try again. Cause I don't think Spirit's going to give me a lot of money. Cause that's not how it works. Right. Like I can't win the lottery if I wanted to, but I think it was more about trusting. And so it was the Seahawks and the Patriots. And the Seahawks, I have a vested interest because we were in Seattle and I love the Seahawks. And so I didn't know whether I could trust it. And I thought my husband said Patriots were going to win. And so then when I tuned in, I really felt Seahawks. And I was like, oh, I'm feeling the Seahawks. Okay. And then I said, okay, but how much? You know, and I saw they showed me 13-0. And I told him, okay, put money on the Seahawks. And is there a spread, you know, like, and can I do like a 10-point spread? And he said 9.5. I could do 9.5. So, and they won.
Wow.
And for a long time, it was like 12-0. I don't know if you saw it or remembered it, but
yeah. No, I it's so funny how they're so important, and then they just fade away. And you're like, who won last year? Like,
yeah.
It's funny you say 13 because on the way, I'm trying to tap into whatever, and I have no training or whatever. But on the way to our Super Bowl party, we're going to, the number 13 flashed in my head, and I didn't say it to anybody. I didn't say it to my wife. Yeah, but that's exactly what Patriots had. I didn't have another score, but I had the 13. And I've been following college football quite a bit. I'm from Indiana. Indiana Hoosiers won the national championship, so I was very invested in every game. Yeah, and some of these games, I would just get this feeling, and I've never got before. And I can't explain. It was like a rush or something. I'm just like, I've never felt this. It was almost like entire goosebumps. And I was like, they're going to win. Yeah. And I mean, they've been dominating teams all year, but still, like, once you got to the playoffs, I was like, it was weird. It was, and I wish I'm trying to listen to my body more for the subtle things, and I'm trying to make a big deal out of the small things because I feel like we kind of brush stuff over. Like, I've said before, but when I'm doing something or looking at something that maybe I shouldn't be doing, my finger will start twitching. And I'm like, that's just my body's like, hey, you're done doing it. You know, stop. You know, whatever you're doing, stop it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I love it. You know, I love that you have a self-governing thing that you could put out there and stuff. Yeah.
And I love that you're listening to your body, because that's all it is, right? It's this intuition, it's this knowing, and then learning what is what, right? Because we all are going to interpret it and feel it differently. And, and the hardest thing is when you're by yourself, but then when you're in practice and you're in these classes and somebody's there confirming yes or no, then you're like, wow, okay, that's real. I didn't just make that up.
So when you're doing your classes, a bunch of questions about your classes, with your other classmates, did everybody develop the ability, or did some people go, I just can't connect? Or did everybody at some level was able to
Oh yeah, everybody.
grow?
Mm-hmm. Those who continued with, yeah, everybody did. And then it's just a matter of like getting better over time and continuing and practicing. Yeah, but everybody did. Yeah, everybody can.
So I feel like if like Michael Jordan's the best at basketball, but everybody could put a basketball through a hoop at some level, some skill level. And if you have some ability to move objects with your mind or read people's minds or whatever you have, I feel like we all have that ability. We just got to tap into it and find the way to tap in. Do you feel like that? If one person in this universe can do it, we all can do this?
Oh yeah, we all can. We all can. And not everybody needs to be a professional reader, right? Because that's like a whole nother thing. But yeah, no, and I think the more we do that, and the more we understand that how connected we are, and understand and trust ourselves, I think the less anger and other things, and just fighting and all this other stuff would just it would be less. Let's just say, if we could tap into ourselves, but our society really doesn't raise us to be like that, right? We're always looking to somebody else. We're always looking to something else to do that for us. And so we don't trust ourselves.
Yeah. And it always seems like society wants you to be at odds, and they need that turmoil. I feel like somebody is benefiting off of our bad vibes towards one another.
Sure.
Because they keep putting it out there, like you don't have the fanciest car, or he has a better job, or whatever it might be. There's always envy. There's always like somebody screwed me over. Something's got to be going on that level, as far as why we're always at odds, why there's always a war going on. Do you feel like we're all connected?
Yes.
We're connected with everything in the world.
Yes.
And do you go ahead?
Yeah. What are you going to ask?
Do you feel like there's a stream of consciousness? I've just kind of been thinking this the last couple of weeks, that our brains are not really, they're just more receptors to the information out there in the universe. And we're not really, we're just gathering information. We're not really coming up with thoughts. We're just grabbing the information that's flowing all around us. Does that resonate at all with you?
It does. And actually that comes out a lot in the telepathy tapes. And they kind of talk about that. That like our brains are just like receptors, right? Or receivers, that doesn't mean that we don't have our own part of, but what I've been shown is like, there is this one collective consciousness, and that's like people call that God or source or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. And that we're just little bits of it, and we come out, have our own little human experience. Then we come back out and go right back into it. We still can retain like our own knowledge and our own past lives and everything, but we also help inform the larger consciousness. And I feel like, so we're always there. And even in our human self, we are spiritually still connected. And we're spiritually still connected to our loved ones as well. So even if they were to like come down and reincarnate before we went back up, we're still going to meet up with them anyways, because part of their soul is still up there, and part of them are here in the physical. I know it sounds kind of weird. I don't know if you watch Bluey or not, but there is a episode, and it makes me cry all the time, and reminds me of my mom. But there's an episode where the youngest one, Bingo, needs to sleep on her own, and she has this little bunny she carries around, and in her dreams, she goes into space, and Bingo, the little rabbit she carries around, she has to let go. And there's one of the planets, and it has, I don't know, what's the one with the rings? Is it Saturn?
Saturn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little bunny, so the rings are a bunch of these bunnies, right? Going around. And so she's got to let it go, and it goes back into, all of them floating around. And I just feel like that's us. Like I got a hit from spirit, like showing me that. And then it was like, yes, that's us. Like we're just going right back into it, but we're all still our own little individual bunnies, but we inform the larger connective consciousness, so.
Yeah, I asked this question previous podcast, and they couldn't give me an answer, so I'm going to throw it to you.
Okay.
If we're all connected, and we're all coming down here to experience something, loss, happiness, whatever, if we're all connected, then somebody has had this experience. And if it's all feeding back to the same source, then why are we still here doing this if somebody across the planet has done the exact same thing 20 times? And if we're all connected, then we know what that feels like. But we still keep coming down here having these experiences. Do you have any take on that?
Yeah, I think I got one time from spirit, and what they told me was like, it gets boring, feeling unconditional love all the time, right? For us to be like, oh, I want to feel that, right? And it's amazing. But at some point, I know it's kind of a very simple thing, but it's like, if you just feel bliss all the time, I can imagine how that could get a little boring. And like, hey, I want to change things up a little bit and see what else I could learn. And I hear also like Earth is not the only place, that there are other places that we go to learn and figure things out too, and have different experiences. So
yeah, and like you're saying, I equate it to like camping. Like you have a nice house, but you go for the weekend to go sleep on the ground somewhere. Like, does that make any sense? No, because you're going to appreciate going back to your house and sleeping in your nice bed and stuff. And you can't eat steak every night. You got to eat McDonald's once in a while. Otherwise, the steak doesn't taste quite as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that for sure. When you get these downloads, and I've heard this before, the universe is sending downloads, and it's a lot on the internet. Like, did you guys get all these downloads? What is that feeling? When you get a download, what is that?
I often get them in my car, and it just feels like your own thoughts. It's like nothing special. Like sometimes I hear people and I feel like they're just like, oh, and they're all out of sorts or whatever. And I'm just like, this feels like my own thoughts,
So it's just a thought in your head that comes up, and that's maybe a really deep thought that just came out of nowhere. That's a download.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it's a voice in your head and it's like, hey, this is how it is, blah, 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 blah. But it's more like, can you share with like the last download that you can remember that you got?
Oh gosh. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm trying to
Amanda,
think.
just make it up. I'm just joking. Go ahead, make it up, Amanda.
I will say though, the one that popped in my head, it wasn't necessarily such a download, and I'm sure the other download will come, because I know I just had one not too recently, but my dog, because animals have been coming in and live and past in my readings, and so they've been coming in, and so I'm like trying to talk to my dogs, but I can't, and one time I was petting my little one, and she was like, no, scratch my belly, don't just pet it. And I was like, what? So now I scratch it,
Oh, wow.
Or my dog said something, and I was like, what? Like, it was so funny. I can't even remember what it was, but this is why I want the podcast. So because I forget everything, but, yeah, it's just kind of like notions of like, like the bluey bunny, like, oh, we're part of this all, and it just comes like that. And then, and what was interesting is I'll have that download, right? And then it will get confirmed by other mediums or other things that pop up on my feed or something that I read or something like that. So it's really interesting. And when people say, ask the universe for help or for a sign or whatever, or like, what should I do? Sometimes it's going to come in these like little bits, over a period of time that things are going to show themselves. And then you've got to like be open and looking for those answers.
Thanks for watching the show today, folks. And if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share. And like always, stay rad.